Sometimes we just need to throw bicep curls into our treatment. That's totally fine. But what I would say is that we need to make sure that we are avoiding these top four overlooked bicep curl mistakes. So, should we do bicep curls in our physical therapy treatments? Ultimately, it depends. If it aligns with our intent and the goal that we are searching for. For example, if you're working with a patient that's super stiff and just has the goal to improve their movement variability, is it really the best usage of time? Probably not. Conversely, if you're working with an athlete and they want to get stronger arms and they want to hypertrophy and grow muscle, it's perfectly fine. Go for it. Have fun. However, make sure along the way that we're not creating some other injury. I find that when it comes to bicep curls, everyone is familiar with them. It's such a classic. And as a result, very little education goes into how to do them correctly. From that, usually there's some sort of itis that comes up, wrist, elbow, shoulder, because we didn't properly educate them. So let's jump into the top four most overlooked bicep curl mistakes. The first mistake is resting at the top. What I mean is that if I have these two dumbbells, I could hang up here forever. This is causing zero stress to my biceps. However, if I go just a little bit down, boom, right there, now the biceps are working. So what we're thinking is that we're trying to create more time under tension. When people go through their bicep curl and they get to this fully top position, every single rep, they're resting. So instead, here's how you should start your bicep curl. Have your patient go to that full 100%. Ask them if they could hang out there all day. They'll typically say yes. Now say lower down slightly to where you feel the biceps, right there. This is the top point. Now as we go down and come back up, we're only going to that top point, not the full top. This will keep way more time under tension. The exercise will be a lot harder, and you'll just get a lot more out of your bicep curl. The second mistake is momentum through the shoulder. What should happen during a bicep curl is that we should have isolated elbow flexion and extension. What typically happens is as the patient goes through elbow flexion, they push the elbow back to get a little bit of momentum and then continues forward. So you go through humeral extension and flexion when really you should just be going through elbow flexion and extension. So to fix this, we can add constraints. The easiest constraint is your hand. Grab a dumbbell, have your arm here, and lock it in. And really, really feel that true elbow flexion and extension. You can also use your arm, elbow flexion and extension. You can also use a bench. A bench is great because you can angle it in different positions, but it's the same thought process here. We're just going through elbow flexion and extension because we are totally blocked. The third mistake is wrist extension. This one really goes overlooked and undetected. And usually as a result, patients start to complain of wrist pain when they're doing bicep curls. So why is this happening? Well, when you go into elbow extension, when your body knows that it's getting challenging, it stops the elbow extension and continues with wrist extension. So it's a way that tricks you, that thinks you're gaining more range of motion. Secondly, when you are at the bottom position in this wrist extension, we can fling that into wrist flexion to initiate elbow flexion. So it's a way to trick us that we're actually doing more than we really are, but it's also helping us boost momentum. So the easiest way is getting patients aware. Have them go through their motion, and if they're in this extended position through the wrist, have them fix it. And as they go through it, make sure, cue them, wrist, wrist, wrist. And as they're going through it, they can really start to understand the position that it needs to be in. I find that cueing is a really great way to fix excessive wrist extension. The fourth mistake is shoulder external rotation. A lot of times patients' bicep curls look like this when they're in excessive external rotation as a way to find stability. The bicep doesn't have to work as hard. We've wound up that shoulder. We have a little bit of extra help. So instead of being here, cue your patient to gently bring their elbows out so they're not on their sides, as well as that their wrists should be in line with the elbow. In this position, we're sucked onto our side and wrists are wider than the elbow. In this position, elbow and wrist are in alignment and we're slightly off our sides. This is a way that we can make sure that our patients don't have shoulder pain as a result of their bicep curl.